Now, if you have been reading me on medium.com or hearing my podcast here, you might have heard from me of what my teacher often quotes, that the law of attraction is not a real law but simply a mismatch of two of the 7 Hermetic principles. Here in the podcast, we will talk about the 7 Hermetic principles. What is it and how does it help in manifesting anything that which you want? It is believed that the greatest laws of the universe were handed down to us humans by Hermes Trismegistus in the form of 7 Hermetic principles. Hermes is believed to have lived in the Atlantis and Egypt over 2000 years ago. Now, the Egyptians were so mesmerized by the wisdom and intelligence of this man that they defied him the title Thoth, and he became one of their gods. The civilization of Greece too made him one of the gods. Here he was popularly known as Hermes, the Greek god of wisdom. Interestingly, in both the civilizations, he was considered as the messenger of the gods. The Hermetic teachings, a compilation of Hermetic axioms, precepts, and maxims, were passed on to us in the form of a book titled Kybalion, authored by 3 people under the name of the 3 Initiates in 1908. Now here we decode the 7 Hermetic principles one by one, starting from the very first, the principle of mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. The law of mentalism states that the reality is first formulated in the mind, and only then it gets manifested into the external world. All in the statement is nothing but that which we think as God, source, and or creator. Further, it states that the universe was formed first in the mind of the creator or the source. Number 2 principle is the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. As the universe, so the soul. What it means is that all the planes are connected and in correspondence to each other. So, all the images and thoughts we have in our conscious mind slowly manifest subconsciously and become our reality. No wonder the outer world, in fact, is a reality of our inner world. After all, the mind takes everything that we feed and it doesn't differentiate but begins to create exactly those things, good or bad, on which we dwell the most. The third principle is the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Nothing is permanent, not even the energy. So when you change your mental state, you also change your vibration. This is the reason why it is so important to change your energy and focus on desirable things deliberately through your will than sticking adamantly to negative aspects. Coming on to the fourth principle, that is the principle of polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles. Polarity here implies the fact that all the extreme opposites are nothing but the different degrees of the same thing. For instance, heat and cold are in different phenomenon but the same thing. The only difference between them is the level of the degree. Similarly, hate, love, fear, courage, lack, abundance, sadness, happiness are different degrees of the same thing. The fifth principle is the principle of gender. Gender is in everything. everything has its masculine and feminine principles. The law of gender is nothing related to the sex of the individual. It rather revolves around generating and creating something. Gender is actually masculine and feminine principles in every individual, where the masculine side is the conscious side of the brain, whereas the feminine side is the subconscious side of the brain. Together, they both help in creating one's reality. The sixth principle is the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. This principle is like the movement of a pendulum. It states that there is a rhythm between pair of poles. Rhythm is nothing but a force that helps in transition from one pole to other. This means after every success there will be some hurdles, struggle or failures. This is the reason why the principle of rhythm is critical for well-being, as it teaches you to control yourself and helps you to stay grounded. The last principle is the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Now, this law states that nothing happens by chance. Your action determines your consequences. If you sow the seed of poisonous plant, you won't get a medicinal plant in return. So, it is necessary to choose actions that have healthy consequences. In fact, it is good if you take actions thinking about consequences first. Perhaps this is the reason why they say be the cause, not the effect, be the master, not the victim. Over the years, the practical application of these 7 Hermetic principles in everyday life have changed the course of people's lives. It helped people manifest several things from money, relationships to vacation and other things which people thought was almost impossible. When Napoleon Hill interviewed several billionaires and millionaires for his book Think and Grow Rich, several of them talked about applying these laws to change their reality. Even today's entrepreneurs, startup founders and business entities are following this.